Everyone, this is Sayer G from GreenMedInfo.com, and as you may know, we've had a issue with Mailchimp where they have canceled our account after 10 years of excellent compliance with their terms of service. And so when we log in, I just want to show you all something. On the top, it says your account has one or more issues that need to be resolved. So I want to show you what those issues are. Okay, view issues. And we, obviously can see we're in very good condition here after 10 years of working with Mailchimp. We've had maybe one or two people send a email complaining over the past, 5 years, literally. So here you go. This is 2015, direct complaint from a list member. Then suspiciously, right before they canceled our account, we had a direct complaint from a list member, which all that means is that someone sent an email saying they didn't like what we sent them, even though we only have voluntary opt-ins to our email. So here's the issue, right? Terms of service, a violation. So let's go to resolve to see what they're talking about. And it says our automated abuse prevention system, Omnivore, that sounds pretty creepy, has detected an action or content in your account that may be in violation of our acceptable use policy. Okay, that's fair. What's the acceptable policy? Acceptable use policy. Well, when we look at this, it's really basic and it's acceptable to me. I mean, certainly we don't want to be in violation of spam acts, so we don't add people to our list who haven't asked to be added. We don't sell, things that would be considered inappropriate, like pharmaceutical items. Like we don't promote gambling. We're not about credit repair, etc. Okay. We don't talk about daily horoscopes or mortgages and loans. This is, stuff they're saying is not acceptable. But so the main issue here is vaccines, right? That's what they said in their customer service thread to us is we have anti-vaccine content and that's why we're banned. So if we look in this page for immunization vaccines, there's no mention. By the way, this was May 31st, okay? So let's go look at what actually happened on June 7th, which is that Mailchimp released a statement on their site that they will no longer allow accounts on their platform that have, quote, anti-vaccine content. So let me go scroll to this article by Jeffrey Jackson, excellent guy. And so that was their statement right there, June 7th. So Mailchimp's statement on vaccine misinformation. Mailchimp has shut down a number of accounts for anti-vaccine information that violates our terms of use, and we're adding this category to our routine searches for prohibited content. You just saw the terms of use. There's nothing in there that says anything about anti-vaccine content. So it was technically this statement right here that they feel, given on June 7th, gave them the right to cancel our account without warning. And in fact, initially, they prohibited us from even accessing our account. So they basically took possession of the property that we have in our custody, which is the list that is based on people voluntarily asking to receive our content. So they've given their private information over to us through the Mailchimp system, that's holding it sort of like in escrow or custody, but they don't own it, right? But they basically shut us out of our account and didn't even allow us to download the list. Now, after we asked them for our data, they did allow us to sort of enter the site, which is why we're able to see that technically we haven't violated anything that comes close to what they're saying. So they basically implemented an automated system that was looking for vaccine content, and they detected content, of course, information relevant to vaccination. Now, what do we have on GreenMedInfo? As you know, we have a database of research from the National Library of Medicine. Here we go, almost 50,000 abstracts across 10,008 health topics. As you can see, there's a lot of topics here. I don't see vaccination even listed on the first sections of any of these indexes. So let's go skip over. I just want to make it clear that this research is actually from the National Library of Medicine. So if they want to tag it as anti-vaccine, that's fine and good. But when you look at the actual research, these are citations, right, from the National Library of Medicine. In fact, here, there's a Cochrane collaboration which is an independent international body of researchers that look at all the research out there on a specific topic. In this case, vaccines for measles, mumps, rubella. So this is the PubMed.gov U.S. Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health backed database. That's all that GreenMedInfo really contains, right? So this one basically shows the design and reporting of safety outcomes in MMR vaccine studies, both pre and post-marketing, are largely inadequate. And that's basically what you'll find when it comes to the Cochrane collaboration reviews, right? The meta-analysis of the data on vaccination, look at influenza, look at various different vaccines. The evidence is unfortunately equivocal and, as again, largely inadequate. So if we were to go and say that publicly, that GreenMedInfo or SAYERG believes that the MMR vaccine information is inadequate, I get why they'd be upset. Who am I, right? I'm not the CDC. I'm not a PhD researcher, working at Sloan Kettering or Robert Wood Johnson. But this is the Cochrane collaboration data that represents thousands of years of scientific labor. And in fact, the Cochrane collaboration prides itself, although recently it took a massive influx of money from the Gates Foundation. Previous to that, they prided themselves on being pretty much independent and trying to disentangle industry research, right, from the research that is biased. So basically the conclusion is this, is that GreenMedInfo does nothing more than index, and report on research from the National Library of Medicine. And we have been banned from Mailchimp. And this is not an accident because, of course, you can do your own search here. Let's go look for CDC Foundation and Mailchimp. And what do you find? Okay, they're actually a funding partner of the CDC Foundation. And that's one of the things that Jeffrey Jackson does such a good job on, is that he shows that the bylaws of the CDC Foundation, okay, which is not a government agency, right? It's a separate corporation, nonprofit that they set up so they could get around some of the limitations, I think, of the government obligation to the public. But what they found essentially is that there are bylaws here, so that they have to abide by. And therefore, if you look at some of our articles on the topic, you'll find the CDC Foundation basically obligates funding partners to, really just act as betas to their dominant narrative, which is that any information that calls into the question the safety and efficacy of vaccines is considered harmful to the public and therefore needs to be shut down. So in many ways, I don't think the government agency, the CDC, could go and shut down the freedom of speech of an organization like ours and the 300,000 plus people who have opted in for the information that we provide. So they're going about it through the back door, which is using Mailchimp as a way to censor us. And that doesn't seem consistent with First Amendment rights and freedom of speech, but that's what's happening. So, we ask our supporters to, either become a member. There's a member link here, or to donate. You can search for donation right here if it's not obvious through any of the links, because we basically have to create a censorship-free platform, and that's what we're doing presently. We're also jumping ship to another platform that is founded by people that respect health freedom. We'll be releasing that information soon. But in the meantime, we are happy to say we're back up and running. GreenMedInfo is humming along. And despite Mailchimp's decision to, censor us, we are still able to get out our information through our free newsletter. So please feel free to join us in this effort to, spread the research on natural medicine far and wide. And we thank you so much for your support.